G'day divers and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I attach the AOI QRS-03 wide-angled lens or the Backscatter Sharp wide lens and the Macromate Mini to my GoPro Hero 13 and my AcePro 2. It will also be relevant to the DJI Action series, and I'm going to show you step by step how I attach them using the AOI quick release system. If you're new to my channel, I'm Sean Elliott and I've been doing underwater videography and photography for over 25 years. This channel is all dedicated about using action cameras and mobile phones paired with economical aftermarket accessories to get some great underwater footage. If you want to know how you can use your action camera or mobile phone to get shots like these, then please like and subscribe to my channel. So this is a second part of a three-part series. If you haven't seen the first part on why I'm talking about this particular wide-angled lens and this macro lens, then go and watch that video first. I will link it in the description. In this video though, I'm going to strip this whole system down and show you how you attach these lenses using the quick release system by AOI. In the third video, I will be showing you how I do the same thing but using a flip system, but that will only be applicable to GoPro, whereas this can be used on the GoPro series, the DJI Action series, and the Insta360 AcePro series. So let's strip this down and I'll go through it. I'll show you everything that you need to get and how it goes together so you can attach this wide-angled lens and this macro lens to your action camera. So first of all, you need one of the action cameras. This video isn't about which one to get. It's about connecting to the quick release system. Now, the quick release system, like I said, comes for all the three major brands. But what you do need to do is make sure that you have the name brand housing for the action camera. So the quick release system by AOI is designed to attach to the underwater housings. They are specific for those brands and sometimes models. So make sure you get a brand name housing. I wouldn't recommend when it comes to the plastic cheap housings that you get anything other than the name brands of each model anyway. If you're talking about buying high-end aluminium housings for tech diving, that's totally different. But if you're talking about whether or not you pay, you know, 60 bucks or whatever it is for a brand name housing, or whether you pay 20 bucks for a knockoff Chinese one, this isn't where you want to be saving money. It causes you nothing but headaches. So get the brand name housing every day of the week, and you really need it for this, because if you don't get the brand name one, it may not fit in the AOI adapter. Next, you need the AOI QRS-02 base plate. So the quick release base plate, they are specific to the brand and sometimes the model. So for instance, this one here only works for the Insta360 AcePro 2. If you've got the original AcePro, you need a different model. And then of course you need different ones for GoPro and DJI. So just make sure that you do get the right one for your brand and model, otherwise it won't fit. Now they're all pretty basic, there's not a lot to them. Really, there's a three-pronged GoPro style attachment for attaching the housings to them. And then there's a 1/4-inch tripod screw, which is a very universal screw to be able to attach it to tripods and selfie sticks and dual-handled trays and things like that. So anything that has the 1/4-inch tripod screw, you'll be able to attach this mount to it. Now they do all come with this selfie stick type handle. I would just throw it in the bin. There is absolutely no benefit to using a selfie stick style handle like this. It doesn't float. It doesn't have a tripod. All it does is introduce a whole heap of movement into your shot. If you move your wrist at all, you're much better actually just holding the camera. But I would be recommending that you go straight to a dual-handled tray, unless of course you're snorkeling or freediving, in which case, you know, maybe look at attaching just a little tripod so you've got something that you can at least use as a selfie stick, plus set it up on the bottom. I would then probably recommend at least a single-handled tray. The problem with a selfie stick type setup is it actually adds more movement because it's a counterlever than just holding the housing. So I would take this handle, unscrew it and throw it in the bin like I do. I've kept this one just to show you in videos, otherwise I have no use for them whatsoever. So the easiest thing to do is attach the housing first. So the housing slips in, you just clip it into place. Now make sure it's mounted nice and flush and there's no gap in there. Otherwise, especially with the AcePro series, you're going to pick up the lens. It needs to be nice and flush. And then it attaches using, you know, your typical GoPro style attachment. So just screw that in. Now, once we've got the base plate installed, what we need is some sort of tray. Now, I would go straight to a dual handled tray. So I'd recommend either this tray by LetonPower. That's just a Joby tripod I've attached to it. But this, I'll leave a link in the description for this. You can get 10% off. It is an adjustable dual handled tray, which means you can adjust the width on it. It has 3 points to be able to attach a tripod to it, and it has a couple of points where you can attach your camera. You just unscrew one of them because you're only going to need one screw. If you want to go up a little bit more in price and market, that's the Divevolk one, which I use for the Divevolk system. I'll use a link for that. This is a really, really nice tripod that Divevolk do. It even comes with a weight that you can take off and a ball joint, but that is a fair bit more expensive, but I will link that in the description if you want as well, and there's a 6% discount code for that. But I would always go to a dual handled tray. There is just no point really in starting with a single handled tray. You're not going to save a lot of money, and then when you do later on decide to go to a dual light setup, you're then going to have to buy a new tray. So just go straight to your dual handled tray. Plus it gives you a much more stable platform to work from. So you've got two hands on your camera and you can get a nice steady shot. It gives you the ability to change the width of it. You can add 2 lights or more, and you can add things like tripods. Now when you get the dual handled trays, they'll actually have 2 1/4-inch screws. It's pretty straightforward. You can just unscrew one. You can leave it in there if you want to, but just unscrew it because you're only going to need one. When I'm using the quick release system, I like to leave one on the left instead of putting it in the center, just because you'll notice that the tripod screw on your base plate is actually slightly off to the left. And if you put it in the left-hand side, you'll be able to get your housing pretty much centered on your dual handled tray. And that's just a 1/4-inch screw. You just tighten it up and it's on your tray ready to go. It's as simple as that. But like I said, look, it's up to you. If you want to put it on a selfie stick, put it on a selfie stick, but you really, really need a nice steady shot. You don't want to make everybody seasick with your video. And if you're going to use macro, you will have to use lights. You're just not going to get any decent shots under probably 2 or 3 meters at the most if you're trying to do macro, because everything's going to be in the shadow of your lens, and you're also zooming in, so you're getting a lot less light. So you're going to end up very grainy shots if you attempt to do anything under a few meters without some lighting. So once you've got that on there, you're ready to go to put your wide-angled lens on, because the AOI UWL-03 wide-angled lens, or the Backscatter Sharp lens, is designed to go on this system. And this is the system that Backscatter and AOI recommend that you use this lens and the Macromate Mini on. So it is very easy to use. It's a bayonet style system. There is nothing worse than trying to use threaded systems underwater. I would suggest that you always try and get a bayonet system. It is much, much quicker to use than trying to use threaded systems. And they're very easy to use. There's a white mark at the top of the lens. There's a white mark at 12 o'clock on the base plate and at 9 o'clock. And you just simply go at 90 degrees, turn it around, and it clicks into place. And it can't go anywhere. It can't fall off. It can't come off. It's not shaking. It's nice and tight in there. If you want to take it off, there's a little lever on the side. You push it in, you turn it half a turn, and it comes off. So very quick and easy. You're not trying to line up threads. It's not going to gum up very easily at all. It's very, very smooth and easy to use. So that is ready to go. You can get some good shots without lights up shallow. You're going to get better shots with the wide-angled lens on than you would without it. I would still recommend lighting. I'll put a link to some lights I recommend, but I would still, you know, if you're going to do wide angle, you're probably going to need dual lights. You can get away with one light, but you've now got a very wide field of view. So if you're going to use a single light, you're going to struggle to cover the whole area, and you're also going to struggle with backscatter. But that's a totally different video, and I'll do a video on lighting another time. But I highly recommend you at minimum add this wide-angled lens. It will make all your shots better, regardless of whether you use lights or not. Next, let's go through how we're going to attach the Backscatter Macromate. So back in March of this year, Backscatter came out with a 55mm thread, which is what's on the Macromate, to QRS-02 adapter. So you can either buy this from Backscatter or from if you're not in the US, then buy it from one of your local suppliers. I'll put a link for the Australian viewers for an Australian business, Underwater Australasia, has this in stock. If you're Australian, or probably if you're outside of the US, do not try buying this direct from Backscatter. This was $49 US, and postage was $64 US for that. I think you can buy it now because it wasn't in stock when I first got this. It's just under 90 Australian dollars, which is a lot cheaper. In fact, that's about the postage cost from the US. So don't buy it directly from Backscatter at all. And if you have a 3D printer, you could make it yourself. It really is just a 55mm thread to a QRS adapter. And to be honest, I probably should have just done it myself. I do have a 3D printer, but I was a bit lazy and I got them to send it to me. But it is pretty easy. You just thread on your 55mm thread of your Macromate, and now it is a AOI quick release system. Now, if you're going to use this and not use any other system, I would probably find a way, get some thread tape or glue and permanently fix this in, or crank it on so it doesn't come off. Because the problem with threaded lenses always is they can vibrate and fall off. I use different systems all the time, so I try not to lock it on, but I would recommend, if all you're going to do is use this system, that you use some thread tape or some of that thread glue just to stop it from being able to vibrate loose. Just don't get any on the glass, of course. And then it works exactly the same as the wide-angled lens. So you just turn the lever, off comes the wide-angled lens. Again, you've got a nice white mark, 90 degrees, turn it, lock it in place, and voila, you've got the Macromate Mini on there. Next thing is you don't want to be using your pockets to hold lenses if you can. They are both heavy lenses. If you stick them in your pockets, you're likely to miss your pocket. They'll fall out of your pocket. You will lose a lens. Don't try swimming around holding on to one. So you want some sort of top plate. Now you can get purpose-built top plates. I used one for a while because I already had one and I didn't like it anyway. They're really designed for compact cameras and mirrorless cameras, and it was just a little bit big and bulky. So I simply went to the hardware store and got myself a piece of aluminium. A full length of this, and I've only used this tiny little bit, was like 10 Australian dollars. So it's much cheaper too. And I just cut this to length, just sanded it back so I didn't have any sharp edges, and rounded the edges and drilled it through. And if you use either one of these housings that I've recommended for you, you can just take out the screw, the back screw that holds on the ball joints, drill, and you can screw that on to the top of your tray. Now, the reason I like doing this, apart from the fact of cost, was it keeps it much more low profile than having this massive purpose-built ones like the ones that are designed for the compact cameras. So I'll just simply screw that one on. So now that you've made a top, what you want is a lens holder. So this is made by AOI. This is a specific lens holder. They're not a crazy price. I would get one of these because it gives you a place to hold your lens. You're going to need at least one. Like I said, do not put them in your pockets. You're asking for a disaster. I would even suggest that unless you're very comfortable with holding two lenses at once, that you consider having two holders, because the problem with having one is if I've got my wide-angled lens there, I'm taking some macro, I want to go to wide, I'm now going to have to hold both lenses at once because I take the Macromate off. I've now got to take the wide-angled lens off, put it on while I'm still holding the Macromate, and then put the Macromate up into the holder. And that, has an opportunity for you to drop one of the lenses. They're not that light. I mean, compared to most lenses, they're very small and light, which is why I'm sort of used to it and I stick to one holder. But if you dive in, especially somewhere where if you drop a lens, it's going to be out of the range of you being able to get it. So if you're diving on a wall or somewhere deep, then I would strongly suggest that you get two holders so you can take a lens off, clip it in, and then unclip the other one before you put it on. But at minimum, you're going to need one holder. And that's your system, as easy as that. We now have a macro lens and a wide-angled lens. We've got a bayonet system that makes it nice and easy to take them off. They're nice and solid. They're not going anywhere. And you can use this on your AcePro series, your Gopro series, and your DJI series. If you've watched the first episode of the 3 episodes, you'll know that I wouldn't recommend the macro lens, this particular macro lens for the DJI, but certainly for the GoPro and the AcePro series, it works really well. In the third episode, which will come out in a few days after this one, I'm going to show you how I mount these same lenses, but do it on a flip system, but it's only applicable to the GoPro series. And although it's a bit of a hack, I actually came up with this way of doing it before this existed, because there was no way of being able to take a wide-angled lens and a macro lens. You either did this just with the wide-angled lens, or you did the flip system just with the macro lens, until Backscatter created this adapter. Now, Backscatter and AOI recommend this way. The flip system is a little bit of a hack, but the reason I like it is I'm not taking lenses off. That's one thing. So I don't have that issue of dropping them, and it's much, much quicker. Although this is a lot quicker than using a threaded system, it's still much slower than just using a flip system and flipping from one lens to the next. So if you have a GoPro and you want to see how that one goes together, because it's quite a bit more complicated than this one, then in a couple of days after this video is out, I will release that video. I'll do the same thing. I'll go through all the parts, how it goes together, and I'll show you and give you some, ideas of why I prefer it. That doesn't mean it's best for you. And like I said, this is the way that Backscatter prefers you to do it. There are some risks and downsides of using the flip system, which I'll go through in that video. I just like it for speed and ease, and I've been doing it a very long time. So I hope that helps. These videos came about because people were asking to see how this all goes together. If I didn't cover something properly, then please leave a comment. I will answer any comment that there is, and I will try and cover it if there's something I really have missed in future videos. If you've got any questions anytime, please put them in there and I will try and answer them all. So until the next time, don't forget to keep blowing bubbles, and never forget, the deeper you go, the further you get away from all those idiots.